See. Okay. Hello, friends. Good morning. How are you doing, everyone? Let me see if the sound is working. Let's check. Okay, so if anyone can say to me if the sound is working fine for you guys, please, I would appreciate. Okay, so if anyone can say. Let me just check here the windows. Okay, I believe it's working fine, correct, guys? So we're gonna just close here. So good morning, everyone, guys. First, okay. So, guys, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is having a nice Sunday. I hope you guys are enjoying your day. So we have a lot of sun outside. It's quite good for end of September. So I hope everyone, is having a great weekend. So here today, guys, as we said, we're gonna be talking about understanding our difficulties according to Spiritism. Let's just wait a little bit here. See people they are coming. Let's see. Okay, so let's just give a few minutes. So, guys, how is everyone? If you guys want to drop any question here or any comment, guys, please feel free. But it's really nice to have you guys here in the morning with us again. We have our friend here, Juliana. It's nice to have you here. Morning, Ju. And thanks for the guys in America also from Kardec Radio. We have Betinha here. Thank you, everyone, guys, for being here with us. I believe we're going to start doing our initial prayer so people they can come along because it's quite a long topic. So I'm gonna try my best to bring as much as information as we can here. Okay. So first, I'm gonna ask everyone who feels comfortable to close your eyes, to take a deep breath. Trying to connect with the good spirituality, with our mentors, who are our protectors, with the good spirits who are trying to inspire and guide us in this journey that we call life. Let's be thankful for all the teachings that Spiritism has brought to us. And also, let's be thankful for one more day in life and the opportunity of being here among friends, talking about Spiritism. Let's start. Thanks everyone for your presence, and so be it. We have our friend here, Samantha. Also, good morning, Samantha. Okay, guys, I'm gonna share my screen here, and if you guys have any questions, please, you guys can ask. You guys can stop me at any time. Okay. For those who know me, if I start to speak too fast, please ask me to slow down. I will try my best. We have here a friend also, Patrocínio from Brazil. Morning, Patrocínio. So it's nice to have you all here, guys. So today, guys, our topic is understanding difficulties according to Spiritism. We all have difficulties and challenges in life, but the thing is, how do we see them? How do we comprehend these difficulties? Why do we have these difficulties in life? And why some difficulties for us seems to be bigger than to the others and vice versa? Why do we have them at all? And here we're gonna try to use Spiritism here to try to guide us in this thinking here, in this way that we are trying to express what Spiritism believes. So I hope I'm going to be able to say what Spiritism believes overall. And if you guys have any questions or any comments, guys, please bring to us. And let's start. But before we have Emo here, good morning, Emo. Nice to have you here, man. Okay, guys. So once we have a problem in life, once you have a difficult, the most common question we ask ourselves is, why me, God? I understand this kind of question because sometimes we are in such a difficult situation that we lose, all the sight of goodness surrounding us, and we only think, why me? Why has this trial come into my life? Why am I having this difficult? But if you really think, if you open up your mind a little bit, you may ask a second question, which perhaps is not so easy to ask, but perhaps we should, which is, why not me? Why I'm saying why not me? Because we have to understand that why I should not have this difficult if my neighbor they have this difficult. If someone who I know has difficult, why am I so special to don't have this kind of difficult? So once we ask why me, I understand we can be in despair, or perhaps for some people we believe that we are more special, that we shouldn't have this. But once you open up your mind, you understand that you are someone like someone else. You have doubts, you have troubles, you have difficulties. So all the things which comes to you, it's natural. That's why we should say, why not me also? I am like anyone else. So if it happens with the others, it can come to me also. And here we keep going in the Spirit's book. And we have here this part, which is the Spirit book, part 2, chapter 4, the choice of trials. Okay? In this part here, Kardec basically wants to understand, why do we have difficulties in our life? Why do we have trials? Why we have difficult moments in our life? Where do they come from? Why does these things happens to us? I don't know. For some people can be something different. For others can be something which is, I don't know, very, very harmful. For the others can be something quite light. But each one of us, we're gonna have, we can say, a really difficult situation in life. Then this Kardec is talking about these difficulties here, about these trials, okay? He's not asking about trivial things. Why I fall down when I was walking the street. No, he's asking about really he's asking here meaningful questions. And Kardec asks in the Spirit's book, in the question 258. While in the errant state, and just to clarify for those who doesn't know, errant state or erraticity means uh, once we are in the spiritual world without a physical body. So once we are as a spirit without this matter here, this physical body, we are in the errant state or in the erraticity. So once we are not incarnated, basically, that's what errant means. So while in the errant state and before new corporeal existence, does a spirit have the awareness and foresight of what will happen to it during its new lifetime? So Kardec is asking, once we're in the spiritual world, do we know what's going to happen with us in this life? And the Spirit says to us, the Spirit itself chooses the kinds of trials it will undergo. Its free will consists in doing so. Once we talk about free will here, we will understand in the Spirit's book, in other parts, that our free will, it's not equal to everyone. The Spirit explains to us that if the Spirit or the person is someone morally more evolved than the others, if that Spirit is more, let's say, prepared, that Spirit will have more free will. It's like if you have 3 kids, will you give a kid a very fast car, let's say a Ferrari or whatever car, a very fast car, to one of your kids who doesn't know how to drive, or you're gonna give that fast car for your son, maybe the oldest, who knows how to drive? So whoever knows more has more free will. That's what we have to understand about free will here. But let's speak here, basically here, about free will as if we all have free will, but we have a limited free will. But the Spirit explains to us, its free will consists in doing so. That's what the spirits are trying to say to us, that we choose the trials, the kind of trials that we're gonna go, but we have free will to choose. Basically, that's what they are saying, but we are trying to explain. But Kardec is not happy. Kardec keeps asking here, then it's not God who imposes the tribulations of life on it as punishment. So Kardec wants to know the question that a lot of people they ask ourselves. So all the suffering, all the difficult moments that we are living, is God who perhaps give that to us? Kardec is asking, is it really God who is giving this to us as a punishment? And the spirits explains to Kardec, nothing happens without God's permission, because it was God who established all the laws that govern the universe. For those who want to know a little bit more about this, you guys can check question 964, where the spirits they explain to us that God created all the laws and we have to follow, but we don't have to follow as a puppet. If we don't follow, that's fine, but we're gonna have to face the consequences of it, okay? But just for those who want to know a little bit more about this topic, I left this note. You may as well ask why God made such and such law instead of some other one. So once, like, we ask ourselves, why has God done things like this in life? Why life is like this? Why is the universe like this? And the spirits explain to us that there are certain questions which Kardec made, and also we can ask ourselves to God. Let's say if God was in front of us, we would ask him or her, whatever. We would ask it. Actually, God, it's it. But we wouldn't really be able to comprehend the answer. So the spirits explain to us that there are things that humankind is not ready yet to comprehend, and perhaps there will be things that humankind will never able to understand. So sometimes we have this kind of doubt: why has God made like this? So as it says here, God made all the laws. And he keeps going. In giving a spirit freedom of choice, God leaves to it the entire responsibility of its acts and their consequences. So remember, let's say that we have all freedom of choice, we all have free will. Of course, as we said, depending morally of the level of our free will. So God gave that to us. God created the perfect laws that we are living on it. But everything that we do, we're gonna have to be able so to face the consequence. That's what the spirits are saying to us. Nothing stands in the way of its future. The path of good or the path of evil is open. Is an open choice. So if we're gonna suffer bad consequences or good consequences, it will depend on what we do. So the future, we ask sometimes, how is gonna be my future? It's gonna be what you did today, what you have done what you did tomorrow, and what you have done daily. So our future won't be something completely different from what we did. Of course, we're gonna see in the next questions there come some things they come to us in our future that we didn't expect, and they may come as a trial or as an expiation. But we're gonna explain a little bit more. But Kardec is basically saying the spirits are basically saying to us here, we can do whatever you want, but we're gonna have to face the consequences, okay? And God allow us to do whatever we want. And here, in question 259, sorry guys, oops, I pressed the wrong button. Yes. So in question 259, Kardec keeps asking, if our spirits choose the kinds of trial it will undergo, are all the tribulation of life therefore foreseen and chosen by us? So Kardec is basically saying to the spirits, okay, spirits, you are saying to me that I choose the kind of trials which I must undergo. So if I choose the kind of trials, and if I can choose more or less because my evolution is not perfect, but it's not the lowest we can, shall we say, so does everything that will come to me are foreseen by yourself as a spirit before I come to this life? And the spirits say, not really. But what do they say? Not all of them, because it cannot be said that you have chosen and foreseen everything that happens to you in the world. Not even the smallest things. So we can say, just give an example here. Imagine if someone, we see that in the past, it used to be quite common when adults nowadays, but before they were kids, they were teenagers, they used to smoke when they were 14 years old, for example. We're not here judging whoever smokes, guys, okay? Please don't get us wrong, but just give an example. So then you smoke until you are 70 years old. So you smoke for what? 56 years. Then maybe you have a cancer because of your smoking. Then you're gonna say to ourselves, "Oh, this cancer came from a previous life. It was chosen by myself." Not really. You have done a lot of things, and because of your action has been repeated, now you are facing the consequence. But Kardec is going even like this part of that Kardec, the spirits are explaining to us, goes even deeper. So not everything, not even the smallest things, we can see. Only, as he says here, you have chosen the kinds of trials. The details and consequence of the position you have chosen are frequently from your own actions. That's what you are talking about the cigarettes. So, does that say that once I'm 70 years old, I have a cancer because I have been smoking all my life? That was foreseen before? That was chosen? Not really, because this came because of my actions. That's what the spirits are trying to say to us. But he keeps going. The spirits, they keep going. If a spirit has been born among evildoers, for example, it already knew the kind of temptations. Uh, it, let me change the slide here. Oops. The kind of temptations it would face, but it did not know how it would act in any given situation. Its actions are the products of its volition or free will. So once we come, like say here he says here in this example here that he talks, once we are born among evildoers, Kardec, the spirits are using an example like this. Once you are born, for example, if I was born in Alaska, one thing which is for sure, I'm gonna face cold. Why am I gonna face cold? Because that's natural to the environment. So if you ask yourself to be born in a certain kind of family, let's say, as he says here, a evildoers family, a family where you're gonna face a lot of evil from the people, we have to accept that you're gonna be facing this kind of situations among yourself. Does that mean that in the place that you were born will set forever who you are? Not really, because as we said before, we have free will. So the spirit was born in Alaska, for example, but he can move away. So you are born in a place with certain difficulties. Does that mean that you're gonna fall into all difficulties that you are facing in your life? Not really. That will depend on who? On us, on our choices, our free will. And he says, in choosing a particular path, a spirit knows it will have to endure the struggles that arise thereon, and it knows the nature of the tribulations it will encounter. So, as we said, if you are born in Alaska, prepare yourself. You're going to be facing cold. You know what I mean? But it does not know what events wait it. So even if I was born in Alaska, even if I know I'm gonna face cold, I cannot say that, okay, in a year 10, for example, I'm gonna have a tsunami in Alaska, or in a year whatever, it's gonna be colder than the other years. Or if I was born in a family of wrongdoers, I'm gonna have to be a criminal. I'm gonna have to be whatever, you know? No, not exactly. Kardec is trying to explain to us that yes, we're gonna face the tribulations associated to this kind of expiation or situation, but we are able to change. We are able to mold ourselves. We are able to be flexible if you want. I mean, we must be flexible. Otherwise, you are born like this, you're gonna die like this. Spiritism does not preach this. Spiritism says to us, you are born like this, but you can progress to this. You can evolve. We must evolve. We must change. The details spring from the circumstance and the force of things. So the details and the circumstance that you have there depends on what we are doing, on how we are seeing things, how we are facing things. Okay, and here he keeps going. Only the major events that will influence its destinies are foreseen. Let's give me an example. Of course, I know some people have passed away with COVID, and we are deeply sorry about this. But we have seen some cases which are quite strange to us. We see athletes, we see health people, people who never smoke, who never drink, were wearing masks all the time, and people still like this, taking all the precautions. They got COVID and they passed away quite young, and we are shocked. So this thing is not because, as we were saying before, about the person who smokes all the time, who are smoking for 50 years in his life. that he got a cancer, which is just a consequence of what he did. No, in the case of that we are talking about COVID, that's something major in his life or in her life, in the spirit's life. So perhaps the spirit have chosen that. We are not saying that everyone who passed through COVID, Spiritism does not say this, Kardec does not say this, the Spirit's book does not mention it, that everyone who is passing away from COVID, they knew that they would pass away or it was planned. No, we are not saying this. We are just giving an example, just to try to illustrate here. Or, for example, if you are someone very rich, and that richness has been a problem for your life, perhaps your spirit has chosen to a certain time in your life to lose everything, all the material richness. Why? Perhaps to appreciate more life. Perhaps to try to not only to think about materiality, and in some cases also, Kardec says to us in the Spirit's book that some families, they have kids and that babies are born only after a few hours, after maybe 1 year, 2 years, but they passed away quite early, okay, in life in general. And Kardec asks the Spirit, why does that happen to people? Why this difficult? Why this tribulation to a couple? And the Spirit explains to us that sometimes that spirit only came in that life, in that for that couple, in order to that couple to go back to spirituality. Or maybe that spirit had to face that short time in life, maybe to evolve himself, of course, but also to touch the parent's heart. So not even a tribulation of a parent, of a couple losing their kids in an early age is something which is not planned by God, planned by us. So if these things, which is a major thing, such as losing a kid in an early age, this thing would be a major event, as Kardec is explained to us. And if we are facing this, there is a reason. There is something that we have to learn from that experience. That's the spirits, what they're going to be saying here throughout the slideshow. If you walk down a path full of roots, you know you must be very cautious because you run the risk of tripping, but you do not know when you trip. And maybe you not trip at all if you are sufficiently on guard. So the spirits are saying to us, if before we come, okay, to this life here, we know that we have certain weakness, that we're gonna be falling in that trap because we have chosen this, or it's a tendency of us, if we are on guard, if you are paying attention to our actions, we may not suffer, we may not fall on that trap that we know that is a consequence of the place or of the situation that you are put in. You know, if you are walking down the sidewalk and a tile falls on your head, you must not think that it was written beforehand. It's a common said. So the spirits are concluding here, guys, that there are certain things which happens to us, of course, which they are not major events. And we should not think that everything that happens to us, it's because of previous life, or it's because we chose, or because God has given to us. Maybe it was an accident, because there was someone else who was maybe above, on a roof, let a tile fall down and it hurt you. Okay, but that was an accident of his free will, and you were in that place. But the spirits, the main idea, what the spirits are trying to bring to us here, that only the major events of our life we foreseen before. We ask for these things before. We ask because we want to progress, or because we must to pass on that expiation in order to fix something from the past. But we're gonna see a little bit more here, guys. Here, Kardec, not even happy, but Kardec wasn't happy enough. Kardec asks the spirits, why would a spirit want to be born among evildoers? Kardec asked this question because the spirits gave the example of evildoers. But we can open up this question. We can ask ourselves, why am I gonna ask to be born with a physical problem or a mental problem? Why am I gonna ask to be poor, very poor? Why am I gonna ask to be rich? Why am I gonna ask to be born in a place where my family, they're gonna be a family that instead of helping me to progress, they're gonna be a family which they have a lot of vices, and they're gonna push me back. instead of pulling me forward, instead of pushing me forward. So why do we ask these kind of things? Why would a spirit asking this? And the spirits are clear. It has to be sent into the environment in which it can experience its requested trial. To this end, it must find analogous situation. For example, in order to struggle against the instinct of thievery, it must dwell among thieves. So the Spirit explains to us that if we ask ourselves to be born in that situation, it's because perhaps we want to experience a certain situation in order to progress. Let me give an example. You are someone who you know that inside of yourself, we're not talking, guys, about the small things here, okay? Just to be very, very clear. But let's say you are someone that you know you are all the time gossiping or saying bad things about the others, but you are in a level that you are causing harm to the others. Okay, we're not talking about small gossips. I'm not saying that they are good, but we are talking about in a level here that something which really damages, which hurts yourself and the others around you. So if you are born, if you want to face that challenge, you don't want to gossip anymore. What are you gonna be asking to the spirits? What are you gonna be asking to face on earth? Oh, I wanna be born in a place where there is no people for me to gossip about. No, the spirit will say, I want to be born in a place where there is so many different people where I want to be gossiping about them. But why do we want that? Because we want to resist this temptation. We don't want to do it. We want to be born to test ourselves. And when will the spirit do this? Once the spirit is a bit more prepared, it's a spirit who perhaps failed a lot in that regard, and he comes to live again a difficult life in a different life with difficult in order to face that difficult in order to progress. Because how can you progress something that you have if you're not facing it? Like we always joke here, when you look above and say, God, give me patience. Do you think God's gonna be giving you an island full of coconut water and sun? No. God will give you difficult people because God will say to you, you told me that you want to improve your patience. In order to improve your patience, you need difficult situations, you need people. So the spirits are trying to say to us, trying to explain here to us, guys, in these questions that everything that we are facing this life, not everything, sorry guys, but the major things that difficulties that we are facing this life, we choose them. We choose because we must to face this situation again. We must be born with that people again, that group of spirits. We must see how we are able to, how capable we are in order of really resisting that temptation which that situation has given to us. So the difficulties that we have, they don't come just because we did something bad in our previous life or because God is bad. Most of the time, guys, because it's because we ask. Okay, and we're gonna be seeing this here. Once we see in the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 5, item 9, when the spirits they say, one must not think, however, that every instance of suffering endured on this world is necessarily the indication of a specific wrong deed. They are often simply trials chosen by a spirit to finish its purification and to accelerate its advancement. Hence, expiation always serves as a trial, but a trial is not always an expiation. So, complementing what Kardec said, the Spirit said in the Spirit's book, in the first book which Kardec could find, in their third book, The Gospel According to Spiritism, chapter 5, item 9, the spirits are enforcing what was said before, that we should not think that everything in this world, all the suffering that we did, it's because we have done something bad. Maybe we are suffering this because we asked for this, because as it says here, not all trials are expiation. What we are trying to say with this phrase here, that expiation always will serve to us as a trial. So if you are suffering something, always it can be seen as a trial because it will try your spirit. It will try your goodwill to see if you really want to choose that good path, that good way. But not always a trial that you are facing is an expiation. So it's not because you are suffering now that we did something bad in the past. But sometimes we are having that trial because we chose. A lot of spirits we have in the spirits book, in the here hierarchy of the spirits, I think it's called the neutral spirits. The neutral spirits, they're spirits which they haven't really done much wrong or they haven't really done much good. That's, as it says here, neutral spirits. And I believe, according to some speeches which I've heard about João Franco and some books of Chico Xavier, that we are most of these neutral spirits. So we are in a level, guys, that not everything that we are facing is because perhaps we killed many people before. No, but we want to progress. Why do we want to progress? Because according to the Spiritist teachings and many other philosophies and religion, we are come to a not an ending time, but we are going to the world of regeneration. And the word of regeneration, according to what Spiritism says, Kardec says that in the Genesis, the last book which Kardec codified, that it's the time where whoever whoever spirit is there and does not want to follow the path of goodness, who does not want to progress, will be placed to a different planet, to a different in a different place. We can say, okay, only the good ones will be still on earth. So to be on earth, do we have to be angels? No, they are saying only the good ones. And what is good? It's not perfect. Good means the spirits who wants to progress, the spirits who knows I'm failing, I'm still gossiping, I'm still all the time wants to, fight with people. I'm still, I don't know, any bad advice that you guys can imagine. I'm still being very prideful. I'm still lying to people. But there is one thing which I want. I want to change. So the Spirit explains to us that the intention is everything for the Spirit. It's not what the Spirit says. It's not what the Spirit pretends to be. It's the intention. So whatever comes here inside of our mind, whatever action we do, the intention is what will count. So who's gonna be on earth? The spirits who perhaps they still mistaken, but they want to improve. That's what we can say good spirits. They are not perfect spirits, but they realize already that they must to progress. They must to change. That's why here, once that spirit is facing a trial, he know it's not maybe an expiation because he did something bad, because he wants to progress. He's in a situation where he says, I don't want to be like this anymore. I don't want to be suffering. I don't want to be stuck here anymore. I want to progress. That's why we see so many of us and people that perhaps we can judge them as a good people. And we say, why is this man suffering this? He's such a nice person. Maybe he's such a nice person, but he's suffering this because he asked you to go through that situation, because he wants to progress. Kardec used the example of the soldier in the Gospel according to Spiritism. A soldier who is in the camp is not going to be promoted. Who is going to be promoted in the war? In the army. Of course, Kardec is using this example because the time which Kardec was living, Europe was in many wars. Okay, France and all the countries in Europe. That's why the spirits and Kardec are using these terms here. But the spirits, they say to us, the soldier who really grows in the military career is the one who goes to the front, is the one who fights. Fight, not saying, no, we are not saying that we should go and fight with people, guys, but is the one who faces their challenge, what they have. That's what the spirits are saying to us, And here we have trials or expiations, however, are always signs of relatively low order spirit, because one who is perfect has no more need to be tested. So doesn't matter if you have done anything bad in the past, or if you just asked a difficult time in order to improve yourself, we can say, and the spirits agree on that, and we must agree too, that if we are facing an expiation or a trial, it means we are still in a low order spirit. So we're still in a world that we're still going to have to be suffering, not suffering, we're still going to have to face some kind of sufferings in order to us to improve. Why? Because we're not perfect. Suffering is connected with low order spirits who still needs to face trials or expiations in order to improve. Once you go to perfect worlds where high evolved spirits they live, they are not having trials and expiation anymore. Do they have to progress? Of course they have to progress, because according to the spirit's book, the progression of the spirit is something infinite. Even the high evolved spheres, the spirits are still progressing, but they are not facing any suffering. That's what the spirits are trying to say to us. So consequently, a spirit may have acquired certain degree of elevation, but wanting to advance further, it requires a mission a task to complete. That's what we said about the soldier. So I want to progress. How I'm going to progress? Working. Working how? And whatever vice I have to improve. So I'm gonna ask that difficult time in my life in order to improve. Is that clear to everyone, guys? If you guys have any questions, guys, you guys can ask here. Let me see here. That's why, guys, in the Gospel according to Spiritism again, but now we are going to go to chapter 5, item 4. Kardec, the spirits, they keep talking about this topic here, sufferings and vicissitudes and trials and all the difficulties that we face in life. And the spirits, they explain to us the cause of present day afflictions. Okay, so the vicissitudes of life are of two kinds, or if you prefer, stem from two different sorts that are important to distinguish. Some have their cause in the present day life, while others are right outside of this present life. So what Kardec is saying to us here again, remember we were talking about the Spirit's book, which was the first book. So Kardec touched this topic here of suffering and all the afflictions that we are facing. He spoke a little bit about what we're going to be facing the next life. And two books later, in the third book of the work of Kardec, the spirits, they touch again, but in a different way. And they are saying the same thing. Some have their cause in the suffering, okay? Some sufferings, they have their cause in the present day life, while others outside from this present life. So if anything is happening to us, it comes only from two ways, from two kinds. Or I've done something in the previous life, or I made a mistake here. But of course, as we said, there are things that we ask to leave. But again, we have to understand that if we are asking to face that situation, it's because we are still in a low order spirit. So Kardec is the spirits that are bringing here, they are talking much more about the afflictions, which they come from two kinds, from what we do daily and from something from the past. But it's not talking about the expiations, the trials that we ask voluntarily ourselves. But the spirits in this time here, I believe they want to put their finger, in the wound. They say, how many fail through their own faults? How many are the victims of their own decisions, pride, or ambition? How many destroy themselves through lack of discipline, misconduct, or from not knowing to the limit of their desires? So what the spirits are saying to us basically, that we are suffering, but most of us, we have done, we have always exceeding in the, not in the evil things, but we have always exceeding our, we can put it this way, our power of free will. So we had the free will before. Instead of using it carefully, we went there and we start to use that in a bad way. Then we have to pay. We have not to pay. We have to face the consequence. It's like this. You give me a jar of Nutella. I love Nutella. Okay, happy days. But I eat one Nutella, the entire Nutella of 1 kilo that you can find in Italy, 5 kilos, I don't remember, and I'm going to be fat. So it's because I asked it to be fat or whatever, God's not good with me, whatever. No, it's because I ate 5 kilos of Nutella. So how many of us, we are failing because of our own actions? We always fail. We always are suffering because of our own actions, or because we are still improving ourselves. But in general, we see cases of spirits who keep failing the same thing, who do not want to progress. They don't care about their limits. They just want to enjoy. They just want to live now and live as much as they can. Is there anything wrong in doing that? If you're not harming yourself or anyone, no harm. But if you are doing something because you just want to enjoy yourself as much as you can, pleasure, again, we're not judging, but drinking, drugs, and stuff like this, anyone can do whatever they want. But we have to understand that we're gonna face in our physical body, in our spiritual body that we call perispirit. So we're gonna have to deal with the issues that our actions have brought to us. And guys, to be honest, in general, it's not really the nicest thing, especially once I start to understand about spiritism. Because before myself, I used to say that everything was because of God. Oh, God, he wanted me to suffer. God, he wants me to stay in this situation. Life is not nice. I used to be the victim. But then, that's the problem of spiritism, I believe. That's a good problem, we can say. Once you start to study spiritism, you start to understand that everything what is happening in your life now is because of our previous actions, because we are still improving, because of our lack of discipline, because our persistence in still doing things that we shouldn't. We all must enjoy life, but we're not talking about enjoying life. We are talking about the exceeding. We are talking about once we exceed the pleasures, or when we only want to stay living in the pleasures. That's why we have that beautiful phrases from the gospel when Jesus said, "Give it to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, give to God what belongs to God." What was Jesus trying to say to us? We are in this material world. We're gonna face difficulties. We're gonna face challenges, yes. But since we are here, give to the world what belongs to the world. And what belongs to the world? The materiality belongs to the world. Our suffering belongs to the world. Because the spirit, once that spirit suffer here in this world, once you learn properly, once you learn how to suffer, once you learn how to appreciate that everything comes to you because you have to learn a lesson, you leave what belongs in this world to this world. And what do you give to God? You give to God your goodwill. You give your God your resignation. You give to God your resilience. You give to God your will of improving. So there is no way of us to improve if we still want to be doing the same things. And this part here, when Kardec is talking about the afflictions, about our difficulties in life, he's trying to explain to us, but that's why I'm bringing the gospel here, to try to explain to us that it's because we are choosing this still. Once we decide to choose different, we're going to receive something different. Like Einstein said, there is no craziest thing in the world that doing the same thing all the time, expecting different results. So if our afflictions, we are facing them, let's go through it. Let's not say, God is bad, I don't deserve this, life is not good. Let's face and let's be like a soldier. Face the challenge, go through to it, and let's go and conquer ourselves. That's why Paul of Tarsus, he said, once he was nearly passing away, I have fought the good fight. When Paul says this, Paul understood that in his life he went out to the difficulties, he went to the difficulties that he was facing. And if he was facing that difficulties, even being Paul of Tarsus, he had to face that difficulties. Was maybe because Paul in a previous life he was a bad man? Not really. Remember what we said, an expiation is not always a trial, is not always an expiation. But Paul, perhaps Paul the spirit, not the Paul of Tarsus, the man who was there, the spirit, the bigger picture. Perhaps he wants to go through that. He wants to fight for the Christian cause at the time that he was, because he wants to progress. Of course, he was a prepared spirit, but even prepared spirits, they may fail if the challenge is too difficult, if the difficulty is too harsh. But Paul was there. He said, I chose this. If I'm living this, there is a bigger reason for that. And if that reason comes from God, because everything comes from God, that reason must be, um, the word now disappeared now, must be a good reason. must be a just reason. Okay, that's what Paul knew it. And here we have Leon Denis again in the book After Death, when he says to us, suffering, both physical and moral, is necessary element of evolution, a powerful means of development and progress. So Leon Denis understood that. Once we have this kind of moral suffering and physical suffering, that is the thing which will really make our improve, our spirit wants to improve. That's the brick that we have to put on the wall to make our wall bigger. So suffering in general, Leon Denis explained to us, that's a powerful means to progress. Because most of us, Kardec says, I think in the question 261, that not all the spirits, they have to go to the suffering which is related to the choices that he asked before in the previous incarnation. They can go and simply not choose wrong anymore. So it's not because you chose to be born in a place that you're gonna face certain things that you're gonna have to face that and be quiet. You can choose different. You can try to go leave that place and do something different. Like Chico Xavier used to say, we all can do something different with our future, even if we cannot change the past. So Leon Denis, he understood that suffering is this too, but we don't have to suffer to progress. Although Leon Denis, as the spirits related to the spirits book, they understood that in the level that we are, low order spirits, most of us we still have to suffer. Not that we have, but we choose to suffer because we still are not aware about ourselves entirely. And Leon Denis keeps saying, pain is the supreme purification, the school where one learns patience and resignation, as well as all the austere duties. So Leon Denis saying to us that this pain that we are doing is that something which really makes ourselves. Like we say, if you are someone who is sailing, you're not gonna be sailing, you're not gonna be a good sailor if you are, let's say, in Malta in July, where there are no winds, where the sun is hot. There is the water is like if you were in a swimming pool. You're not gonna be a good sailor there. Where are you gonna be a good sailor? If you are maybe sailing in Ireland with the wind, with the harsh waters that we have here. So Leon Denis explained to us that this challenge that we have, this suffering that we have, that's what really gonna build ourselves, which is what's gonna build us stronger. And in these situations, it's where we learn patience and resignation. Of course, we understand that spirits, they can go through these situations and instead of being resignated or patient, they choose to be rebel against God. And Leon Denis in this book, After Death, I would recommend everyone to read. They explain to us, as Kardec explains also in the Gospel according to Spiritism, that once we keep fighting, once we keep rebellious, we're still going to have to go through the same trial over and over and over again. So if you have a difficult, for example, a difficult time with someone in particular, maybe your parents, maybe your mom, your dad, or a sibling, whatever, if you don't fix that issue now, if you don't try to deal with that situation, you're going to have to be bored of that person again. If you are someone who is facing a challenge, perhaps um, related to gossip or drinking or drugs, again we're not talking about we're talking about excess here, okay? Or if you are facing a challenge where you have to still give more value to small things, all these challenges they will come to you. That's why, for example, we see when there is a tragedy, maybe someone who was beside you, who was in the same car, that person passes away and you don't. But you were in the same car, you were right beside that person. But maybe that spirit chose, as we said before, to face that situation. And if you are seeing that beside you, there is no way of that. There is no way of you not change if you see someone uh, passing away. So once you face this pain, that losing someone, you're gonna have to change. But maybe you still after that situation, which was a tragedy, you're still gonna be the same. You don't care. So we have to understand that in order for us to change, We have to want to change. So pain can be something really hard for us, but once we open our eyes, as Leon Denis says, it can be the supreme purification because it teaches us. But depends how we're gonna be seeing pain. So that's why in the Gospel according to Spiritism, Kardec has the topic, good, the well suffering and badly suffering. And Kardec explains to us that most of us, we don't want to be suffering. And once we are suffering, we are just, as we said, being rebellious. Let's calm down and let's remember, if I'm facing this challenge, this difficult, and if God is just and good, this reason also must be good and just. Otherwise, I wouldn't be facing this. So if I'm facing this, let me face it. Let me deal with that. Like Jung used to say, let's not hide our shadows. Let's deal with our shadows. Let's deal with our thoughts. Let's deal with the ourselves inside, because perhaps we have so many things inside that we don't want to deal with that. But if we don't deal with these issues, we're gonna be suffering. But yes, guys. So the main thing which I want to point today is this, as we are saying here before, guys, that we choose most of the things which are happening to us. Not most of the things. We choose the important things. We have the power of free will, as we said. But everything which comes to us, it's for a reason. And once you accept a good God, that reason must be good also. That's it, guys, for today. If you guys have any questions, feel free. I'm gonna leave here uh, one thing that, if you guys can help us, would help us a lot. Check our latest video of the Spiritist book reading project, and if you guys do that, also please could subscribe to our channel, because that help us to keep coming here and creating English material related to Spiritism, and we are able to keep creating these slideshows here and presentations in order to be sharing the Spiritism ideas. Okay, and also, guys, just to remember everyone that every Wednesday we have our studies group, which is related to the Spirit's book, where everyone can understand a little bit more about the Spirit's book and participate. That's not like a speech as we do here today. That's a Zoom meeting where you have to send an email to us to spiritismisland@gmail.com, and there Major Tanya will send to you a Zoom link where you are able to join this study. Everything is done in English for those who don't know, but doesn't matter if your English is not good, if you just came from Brazil from somewhere else, please participate because it's a good time. It's really good in order to us to keep ourselves improving, our knowledge about Spiritism. Also, guys, don't forget that we have our lives, which are every Tuesday and every Thursday at quarter past, sorry, every Tuesday and every Thursday at a quarter past 7 p.m., where we have myself, Steve, and Samantha, Nave, and sometimes we have some guests who are talking about Spiritism also. So please, guys, join us. And also every Sunday, we have this speech here at quarter past 11 a.m. here in Dublin, where we give this speech talking about Spiritism. And that's it. Okay, guys. So we're gonna end now, guys. Unless you guys wanna say something. But thanks for your presence here, guys. It was really nice to be able to talk again about Spiritism. And that's it. So perhaps we can close doing our initial prayer. Let's our closing prayer. Sorry, guys. Okay, guys. For those who feel comfortable, I would like to invite you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Let's be thankful for the lives we have. Let's be thankful for this wonderful day here in Dublin. Could be in Brazil, could be in America, could be anywhere in the world, in Poland, in Italy. But let's be thankful for where we are and with who we are, because God only gives to us what is good to us and is not made us to progress. Let's not forget that even a father would never give anything to harm its children. If a father would never do it, why would God give any harm to us? In Spiritism, we believe in a God of love, but a just God who wants us to progress, to improve by our efforts and actions. Let's thank the Spiritism to bring this enlightenment and this message that put us in the center as responsible and not victims anymore of life. Thank you very much, guys, for this time. Thank you for the Spirit Light for the opportunity. And so be it. Okay, guys. So thank you very much, guys. I wish you a nice Sunday. Go and enjoy outside. And also, I forgot to say one thing, guys. We have here to say happy birthday to someone who is here watching us, Samantha. If you guys wanna, I forgot to mention that before. So, guys, whenever if you guys can, say happy birthday to Samantha, to Nadia also. She's one of the workers of the Spiritual Society of Ireland. She's not here today, but Nadia and Samantha, they are having birthday. So happy birthday to them, and thanks for your hard work and for your time here in the spiritual side of Ireland, and also thanks for your friendship and kindness that you have been giving, especially to me over the years, and also to the spiritual side of Ireland. They are the best. Okay, guys, thank you very much, guys. See you. Bye bye. Take care.